And we're live.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Ozone here with another episode of Masters of the Galaxy podcast, and we have a very special guest tonight. With us is one of the most iconic voices of the 80s, Lionel himself, Larry Kenney. Larry, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, man. How are you, Brian?
Very good. I'm very happy to have you. Um,
Happy to
one
be
of the
here.
one of the most iconic voices of the 80s and so on. Um, if people don't know it, this is Lionel, the voice of the Thundercats. And then you went on to do his father's voice, Claudius, in the reboot a couple of years ago.
Yeah, for Warner
Uh,
Brothers. That's right.
how was that coming back? I mean, that must have been really cool to be introduced, and be in the new
Yeah,
reboot. That must have been really cool to get that phone call.
it really was. It was a big surprise, of course, and I really thought it was great that not just for myself, but that they were paying homage to the old show.
Right.
Uh, but it was really a kick to do as Lionel's father, because I am now about the age. I mean, when I was doing Lionel, I was probably in my early 30s. That works out, I guess. But
Yeah. Do the
something
math,
like
guys.
yeah, or maybe my late 30s. I don't know. So the funny thing is, of course, being older now myself, my voice has gotten a little older sounding. I guess I don't know, but it did feel good, and I really thought it was a great homage to the original show for them to ask me on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, of course, when we started doing it and I saw the scripts and everything, I realized how closely they were following the original show in terms of. I know it looked a lot different, which is all right. But the important thing for me was that they kept the quote main identity of this show, the Code of Thundera,
Right.
the structure of the family there, and or the group. So I was very happy to do it.
Yeah, I mean, as a fan, I was happy that you did it as well. I was really shocked and very happy that they did call you back to come in and be the father. I thought that was pretty cool, like lineage that you were actually Lionel and for so many years, and then you came back as Claudius.
Yeah,
Claudius,
I
I thought
felt
that
great.
was great.
Yeah, me too. The bad part was I died in the
I know.
episode.
Yeah, I know. You had a short little lived reunion.
Yeah, but I knew that going in, so it was all right.
Yeah, but I mean, that must have been still, I mean, a great phone call to have.
It was, yeah.
And being a voice actor, you also did a lot of other things in the 80s. You were in Silverhawks and Tiger Sharks. The other
Right.
two, like, they have like a mini world. It's Thundercats, Silverhawks in space, and then the Tiger Sharks.
Yeah.
And you were able to be in all three. That was really cool.
All three of those, yeah. And then another show Rankin Bass did called Comic Strip,
Right,
which
right.
was uh, which was actually 4 half-hour shows, a 2 hour show with 4 different shows within that 2 hours. So we did a lot of Rankin Bass work. And when I say we, I mean virtually the same cast in all
Yeah,
those shows.
yeah. You guys stuck together.
Yeah, yeah. So we were working together for 3, 4 years, and then of course I worked with Bob McFadden, who played Snarf,
Mhm.
uh, a lot more than I had been working with Bob for years before on cereal commercials.
Right, yeah.
Uh,
Count Chocula.
yeah, I
Yeah,
was Count Choc. I've been Count Chocula for almost 40 years, and I've been Sonny the Cocoa Puffs bird for 40 years.
right.
And most of the time back then, they didn't do individual commercials for Count Chocula and for Frankenberry, and we did them all in one commercial. We called it the Monsters commercial. It was me as Count Chocula, of course. Bob as Frankenberry
Right,
with,
yeah.
with strawberry flavored marshmallows, and then some other guys.
Right.
Uh,
That's great. I mean,
yeah,
to have like a little family for that long must have been
it
really
was great.
cool.
We really got close,
Yeah. And it must have
because
gave you like a little comfort of like a comfort, comfort zone, with the same people.
yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, sure. Whenever you're working with people and you've worked with before, you start from the get go. You're on the same page. You don't have to get used to the other actors and how they
Right.
and there's none of this wondering. what's going to happen next. Because we got to know each other pretty well.
That's great.
It's
Do
great.
you are you still the Monsters voice in Sunny, or you don't do the commercials anymore?
I still do Sonny the Cocoa Puffs bird.
Okay.
Uh, Up here, I won't go for Cocoa Puffs. Yahoo! But they stopped doing TV commercials for Count Chocula.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 years ago. I still do occasionally some things for the General Mills website. They have a website for kids. That's an interactive thing where you play games and things like that. And they'll occasionally have me in as Count Chocula to host a game or something. To say,
oh, nice. In the voice of Count Chocula or
yeah,
Sonny, right? Yeah,
congratulations, you win the game. Now try again.
Oh,
but
that's
not
cool.
commercials. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. So being a voice actor do you think it's harder to be a voice actor in terms of like finding work? Because I mean, you got like one of the most iconic voice actors for cartoons and and things like that. But in your prime, were you more like, oh, I got to stick with the Thundercats right now?
I'm
Was
not
it
sure
tough?
what you mean.
Was there when you were doing the Thundercats and the
Right.
Silverhawks and everything? Were you more dedicated to that property? I guess I'm trying to ask.
Exclusive?
Right, yeah.
No, because for one thing, we weren't working every day on Thundercats. We actually only worked 4 days a month.
Oh wow.
On Thundercats. Yeah, we worked. Let me think now. Is that right? Yes, we did. We worked 2 days a month. We did 2 shows each of those days.
Oh, wow.
Now, the reason you might wonder, when we first started recording the show, which was in about 84, 6 months or so before it went on the air, we recorded almost every day because we had 13 scripts written already. That's how many they write. Because the average, because you don't know if the show's going to get bought or not.
Right, right.
When you present a show to a network, whether it's a pilot for a TV comedy series or an animated show like ours, you have to have 13 shows in the can, all ready to go. Because if they say, yes, we want that, and they put it on the air, they don't have time to wait for you to record more shows.
Yeah.
It takes a long time, to record with the voice and then the animation.
Sure. Yeah. There's a lot to it.
Yeah. So we worked, like I said, 4 days a month. Yeah. On a Thursday and a Friday and a Thursday and a Friday. That gave the writers time to write new scripts, and that gave the animators time to animate things. So it took all together for 130 episodes of Thundercats. It took about 3 years to do it.
Wow.
Yeah. The same for Silverhawks and Tiger Sharks, and then we did the other things. Then we also did a bunch of Rankin Bass holiday animated specials that still run in some places.
Oh, cool. Well, that's really cool.
But in terms of, I'm sorry, I didn't answer your question fully. When we're doing that, we're not in the studio all day long every day for Thundercats. So I had time to do other things, As a matter of fact, when we were recording Thundercats and Silverhawks and those others, I was still on the air with Don Imus, who I was with for 35 years.
Right.
So on those days, on those Thursdays and Fridays when we were doing Thundercats, I would do the one show in the morning with the guys. And then over the lunch hour, I would run down the street to NBC and record my stuff for Imus, and then run back to Howard Schwartz recording and do the second show of the day. So, yeah, there was a lot of freedom to do other things.
Wow. That sounds like you had a really tight schedule back then.
It was busy, but it was great. I mean, that's what it's all about. Get the money while you can.
Yeah, definitely. I think when I first met you was at PowerCon.
Yes.
There was sort of a reunion there.
In Los Angeles.
Yes. Was that the first time you guys? I forgot their names, but Chitara and Tigra. Was that the first time you guys got together in years, or?
No. Lynn Lipton, first of all, it was Chitara. Peter Newman was Tigra, and
Yes.
we were all invited out to Los Angeles to do a Comic-Con, do a con. This one's called PowerCon, as you said.
Right. Yes.
Um, and I think that was the first time that Peter and Lynn had been invited to. That was their first con. I had done
Okay.
others, and I guess I don't know. So they invited all three of us. So that was the first time we had done a con together and appeared like on stage for question and answer things and all that. But we see each other all the time in New York, because we're all still active actors.
Right.
We've lost Bob McFadden, who died some time back, and we lost Earl Hyman just a few months ago. Panthro.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, and I still see those guys. It's an ongoing thing.
Oh, that's good. No, because you know what? Now that you say that, I remember Chitara. I remember her. She was so excited to be there, because now it's coming back. It was her first con with you guys.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really special because you guys were talking in the voices to each other, and it's just like I would close my eyes and I'd picture the cartoons and stuff. And
it was a lot of fun. We've done a few together since then too.
Oh yeah.
Down in New Jersey, we've done 2 or 3 in the last 2 or 3 years, and a couple other places. I think maybe. I forget where it was now. We do a lot of them, maybe San Antonio, Texas. I forget.
Oh, well, I mean that's cool that you finally was able to do it with them. That with the other guys from the show, because you're the main guy. People think of the Thundercats, it's you.
Well,
so
but it was great to have the other ones there too. I didn't have to answer as many. I didn't have to answer as many questions at the Q&As.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I'm by myself, and there's 500 people in the auditorium, and
you need a lot more bottles of water.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, like John Irwin from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, he kind of secluded himself, and he doesn't do interviews, he doesn't go to cons and things like that. Now you're the total opposite of the spectrum. You came on the show today, which I'm very grateful for. You go to cons, you're very out in the open about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thank you very much.
That's it. No, it's great because fans get to interact with you, and it's something special for them, and for others. And that's kind of what I want to. I kind of want to thank you for that, because it's great that you still want to be involved, and still bring Lion-O and the Thundercats to life. And I think it's a great thing that you do that.
Well, thank you. It's for a lot of reasons. First of all, it's a selfish reason. I love traveling. I love meeting new people in different places.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the truth, Larry. I'm not. People ask, who's when I said that you're going to be on the show, and I guess they didn't realize who that you're.
Yeah, sure.
Who you played, and then and then I said who you were or whatever, and they were like, "He's such a nice guy. He's great to talk to." Or one person was like, "I just got done talking to him." So you got a great repertoire of being really tight with the community and the fans, and it's something special. I really think it is, because like I said, John Irwin shut himself out. He-Man, and it's a shame. It's a shame.
Well, you never know. I mean, I'm sure there are reasons that some people.
Oh, they could do it.
They're too busy, whatever. But I don't want to sound noble here, like I'm, But I also, one of the other reasons is I have such a protective feeling about the legacy of Thundercats, that I couldn't say no to people, because during while the show was on the air, and years after, and we're talking 30, 35 years here, I would get letters from people all over the world who watched the show, and then it became emails. I get emails now,
right. Yeah.
And so many people write me and say in various ways, I can't tell you what you meant to my childhood. And some of them say, because I didn't have a very good childhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's touching.
Some of them will tell me some details where their life was not very good, but they say, when I was in my room, I could close my door and watch Thundercats for that half hour at least. I didn't have to worry about getting smacked around or whatever. So that means a lot to me, that to keep the legacy alive, and to give back would if it wasn't for the fans, there'd be no show. You wouldn't be calling me, asking me to be on your show, So I just feel it's an obligation, really. But that's not why I do it. I like it, or I wouldn't do it.
Correct. Yeah, that's yeah.
I sometimes turn down cons. If I've done like 2 a month for 6 months, I get tired of traveling. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's time to just relax.
but then I get back to it after a while. Interviews, I sometimes, after, my wife will say, "Hon, just tell them you've done 20 interviews in the last month and you want to take a little break from it. And
Yeah,
you contacted me at a good time because which was about a month or so ago, wasn't it?
I believe so. Yeah.
I had taken a break. I might even have told you, would you wait till after the first of the year?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
you did.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I sometimes say I really can't do it right now, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's great that you even said that because you are going to make time and do a show or an interview or a con or whatever, um, and get the message out there. And like you said, keep the legacy alive. And it's a
Yeah.
great legacy to have and to be a part of. And
I was very lucky to be a part of it.
yeah, and you did a great job. I mean, like I said,
Thank
one of
you.
the most iconic voices.
Yeah.
I think from the '80s, it's definitely you, John Irwin, and I forgot his name, but Optimus Prime.
Oh, sure.
You know, I want to say Michael something, but I don't think it is.
I,
But
I I should know it, and I can't think of his name offhand. He's probably going to give me
yeah,
all kinds
but
of
the three of
trouble.
you, the three of you are like total. That is what I think of when I think of my childhood,
Oh,
and but
thank you.
that's I'm a huge Masters of the Universe fan, but I am a huge Thundercats fan as well, and that's why I named this Masters of the Galaxy to include everything under one banner.
Sure.
And
Well,
you
that's
know,
another thing. Another reason I like to. I'm sorry to interrupt you,
no
but
problem. Go ahead.
another reason I like doing the cons is I get to meet all these guys.
Yeah, yeah,
That I would never meet because a lot of them are LA actors.
right.
And I know all the New York actors, but I don't work that much in LA. Very rarely. So I get to meet people, and we get, we'll sit around for the hotel after the show and talk stories about, this guy, that guy. And we, do other things too. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it's got to be great, and bring up the stories of the heydays and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah.
Back when cartoons were on TV.
Yeah.
We don't
Ain't
even
it the
have
truth?
cartoons. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy.
Back when you had to, I tell some young people now, I say, back in the old days, people tell me they used to have to run home from school to get there on time to watch Thundercats. And they'll go,
Yeah,
we had to run home. I said, well, yeah, well, there were no VCRs.
yeah,
They weren't on tape. And they only ran them once.
exactly.
They didn't have networks where they could, have marathons and things like that. So, I forget where I was going with that, but no, listen, I'm 70 years old now, so that happens quite a lot.
God bless you.
I call it little mini vacations, where I forget what I'm talking about.
Take them as many as you need.
A little break,
Take them as much as you need.
Senior moments, we call that.
Yes, I've heard that.
Yeah.
So are you do you still say like I called you tomorrow to do a Thundercats reboot? Would you jump on it?
Sure. I mean,
that's cool. That's great.
Oh yeah, if it met the criteria,
right.
that I have, and frankly, it goes back to what I was saying about I'm very protective of the legacy of Thundercats. I would never do something that would make fun of the show, denigrate the show, anything like that. I remember once getting a call from my agent. He said, Seth MacFarlane wants you to do a Lion-O on an episode of Family Guy.
Right.
Well, I had watched Family Guy and loved it. I mean, Seth's a genius. Funny show.
Oh yeah, the way he brings everything from the '80s to now, it's funny. It's great.
Oh, it is. However, it's a little raunchy. I said we didn't have cartoons like this back in the '80s.
Right.
And I was a little worried, frankly, about doing it because I didn't want the original fans, to be upset with what, look what they're doing with Lion-O and having to say things. Yeah. And my son Tanner said, Dad, you have to realize that those kids are in their 30s now. They're going to love it, And he was right. They're not little kids anymore. They're not going to be offended. And he was right. To this day, I've never had one email that said, I thought that was a little too raunchy what you did on Family Guy. You know?
No, it was great. It was funny, and it was cool that you even said I totally forgot about it, that you did it, but it was cool that you even said yes to that as well because they do bring the Thundercats to life sometimes and other properties as well. They'll
Yeah,
have them
yeah,
on.
yeah. Well, and when the Warner Brothers thing came up, the reboot in 2011, I think it was. You talked about that earlier. They asked me, I mean, this was Warner Brothers, but I still wanted to see a script because I wanted to make sure that they were going to stay true to the, like I mentioned earlier, to the heart of Thundercats, and they did. They really did with their writing, with the, I mean, all the way through. It did only lasted, I think, a season or two.
Yeah, it was
unfortunately.
A shame. Yeah, it was a shame.
But in almost every episode, they had something that was a little reference. If you knew it was a little reference to the original series, even references to the outtakes. I'm sure you know about the outtakes on the internet.
Yeah, no, I always said that what they did was they kind of took your series and kind of like took your series and ran with it, but also kind of explained it and made it its own somehow.
Yeah. Oh, they did.
The only thing that I didn't like was that Tiger and Lionel were brothers. But if you went into the new reboot without ever watching the old ones, it would blow your mind. Without knowing that they weren't brothers originally. It was a great property. By itself, and it was a cool continuation of the originals cartoon as well. I think.
Yeah.
But that's the only gripe that I have with the new Thundercats. And it was too short. It should have kept going.
Yeah, I wish it had, but it's a tough business. The word that I got from people that I know at Warner Brothers and at Comedy Central, I mean at the Cartoon Network, said that the ratings were good. The ratings were very good for the reboot, but the toy sales were not great. And unfortunately, these days, even more than back in the '80s, that drives the success or failure of especially a cartoon show, an animated show for kids. Because if those kids aren't buying the toys, then the show goes off, and that's what happened.
Yeah, it's a shame. Like I said, the cartoon was great. I mean, it really was. It's just a shame that it didn't last longer than it did because I really had anything bad to say about it. And again, bringing you back was the icing on the cake. If they would have just used that more, I thought they would have. Flashbacks and stuff like that. That would have been great to have you on.
They may have had it going on further. They may have had me back again. Who knows?
Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah.
So I know you said you got to run. Before you go, Larry, you have any cool stories that you can share about the show?
Well, nothing in particular in terms of one particular day where something happened. If you've ever heard the outtakes, we had a great time taping that thing.
Yeah.
So much fun. But one of my fondest memories is watching Earl Hammond perform Mum-Ra. Because when Earl first of all, he did some exercises before every show. He would go, spirits of evil, and we'd be over there laughing. Come on, Earl.
He's got to get into character.
Exactly. And he did. He almost transformed himself into it because, when you see Mum-Ra on screen, when he gets into that big thing, he starts drooling. He would drool. Earl did that when he was. He would go, ancient spirits of evil, and he would wipe it away. And by the end of the day, we were the rest of us, over in the corner with a tarp,
hiding under an umbrella,
like at a Gallagher concert,
Yeah, stay out of the first 3 rows.
But he was so much fun to watch doing that. But my best memories are just working with that great group of people.
Yeah. I know. Like I said, I noticed that at PowerCon when you guys took the stage together. It was great.
Yeah.
I really, like I said, I could close my eyes and, picture it, and it was something special to have you guys together. Yeah, it really was.
Great for us. These days, the business has changed in many, many ways, but the one way that's changed that I'm not crazy about is you don't work in groups anymore, uh, especially in commercials. I'm almost always alone in the booth with me
Right,
and,
right.
and the engineer and maybe a producer, director, advertising agency guy or whatever. But like when we did Thundercats, we were all in that room all the time.
Oh yeah.
Even if I didn't have a line, well, I always had Lionel, I was Lionel. But even
Yeah,
if your
yeah.
character didn't appear for 20 pages or whatever,
You were
we
still
stayed in the room together. Yeah,
really?
it was like a team thing, you know. You
Yeah.
don't go in the locker room and and have a sandwich while the guys are playing, you know. So and I miss that a lot. Nowadays, as I said, you're in the booth. Even when I did the reboot in 2011, Warner Brothers flew me out to the ranch, Warner Brothers Ranch in Burbank,
Yeah.
and I was so excited to get to meet the cast, you know, and
Right, right.
I knew they'd be asking me stories about when we were showing everything. I walk in this huge studio, and they had the same microphone set up as we used to have, 6 microphones in a semicircle, so we could all see each other, you know.
While you're reading, yeah.
Yeah, I walk in the control room. I got there early, and I saw the setup. I said, "Oh, good, it's going to be just like that." And I'm talking, and at one point, the producer, the director, stops me, and she says, "Larry, I think we better get started." I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I was waiting for the other people." She said, "No, they're not. They're not working today. It's just you."
Ooh.
And then they sent me back. I went back another time, and it was the same thing. You know, I don't know why, but it would have been so much more fun.
It changed, yeah. Yeah.
I did later get to meet Matthew Mercer, who played Tigra in the new one, and Emmanuel Sharika. Is that her name? I forget. She played Chitara. I met them at a Comic-Con in San Francisco. But that's the big difference to me. Not working as a group.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
Fun.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a lot better when you guys are all there, and you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's how you tape the show live. I mean, basically a live show. Like, you know, you're reading all together, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. All right, Larry, I really appreciate it. I don't want to take up too much time.
Been fun.
Before you go,
yeah,
can you please give us a hoe?
Oh, well, you know, I always referred to Chitara as the original Thunder. Oh, but these days it's probably not good to say that. But yeah, I could give you a little bit of Sword of Omens. Come to my hand. I, Lionel, command it. And then, of course, the big one everybody wants to hear is Thunder. I'll tell you what, you have to do it with me at the end. I'll do the first three. Problem. I'll do the first 3 Thundercats, and then you join me on Thundercats Ho. Okay?
Yeah, great.
Everybody else join in too. Thunder, 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 Thundercats,
Thundercats.
Ho! Ho! You got it. Thanks, everybody.
All right, Larry.
Thank you, Brian.
Appreciate it, Larry.
My pleasure,
Have a great time. I'll check in with you soon.
Do that.
Guys, I will. Guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Monday here at the Masters of the Galaxy podcast. Rock on. Larry, thank you so much. I appreciate it, buddy.
Okay, bud.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.